Maps. Ask yourself whether it really needs to be a map. This was, I think, last year in the NBA Finals. Like, really, do you need a map of where the four teams are? Not to mention that, like, if anyone's been to Milwaukee, this is, like, not where Milwaukee is. This is certainly not where Toronto is. Yeah. This is, like, the Twin Cities Bucks, maybe. Anyway, yeah, so if it doesn't need to be a map, don't put it on a map. Make sure it's not just a population map. This is the one I mentioned earlier. So this is like unclaimed federal aid money by state. They obviously did not normalize this per student in every state because like Texas, California, New York, Florida, Illinois, those are the 5 states with the largest populations. Those are the states with the most unclaimed federal money. So again, like if it's just going to be, I don't know, shouldn't have been a map, but what else? If geography isn't important, best not to map it. So this is actually the ProPublica story I was talking about earlier, which looked at all the jurisdictions around the country that don't report any hate crimes to the FBI, which is like a really interesting story to me. I'm not sure that the map does that much to enhance it, right? I would have wanted to know maybe, you know, what are the largest cities that report 0 hate crimes, right? Or I don't know, like to me, I don't know, does this map help people kind of understand that story? It's also obviously small, which doesn't help. So, you know, they did annotate it, but yeah, so I just would have kind of thought about a different way to represent this. Good maps. So here's a cool map from a series, again, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel did on sort of segregation and white flight in Milwaukee. And I love this map because, I mean, I think they're doing a lot here. But to me, like, immediately sort of tells you what happened, right? Like, change in white population, you can see, like, white people left the city and went to the suburbs, right? And then it's sort of reinforced with this line chart over here. So I think using those 2 different chart types together is a really like compelling way to tell the story. And again, like there's no hovering or like trying to see exactly which neighborhood each of these are. It's just sort of a much kind of simpler, more basic map than that. I really like that one. This is from the Washington Post's recent story on opioids and the opioid epidemic and where pills were distributed. And again, they did it by population, so per person per year. So I like, this is actually, I think, a really great use of an interactive graphic, which obviously it's not interactive right here, but you can see, like, without interacting with it at all, you can see, like, whoa, what happened over here, right? Like, there's obviously, you know, Appalachia was the heart of this problem. But then you can also, in their version, you can hover over and you can see a clearer breakdown by year for each county. So you can sort of see this is the average over the whole 6-year period or whatever, 7-year period, and then this is like, you can see the huge spikes. So anyway, I just think that's a really cool and effective map. The other nice thing I like about this is like they picked a color that's like, I mean, pink is big and bold, but it doesn't have any sort of immediate connotations with it. Like red and green, you have to be a little careful of because we're like taught to think that like red is bad and negative and green is good and positive. So thinking about those like not colors that are that don't have those connotations.
How much work do you think went into putting that together?
A lot.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Well, so I know that like collecting and cleaning the data, they got this like huge data dump from the FDA, I think. And then they had to like clean it all. And then, I mean, they use some like tools. You know, they have experienced developers who are able to put things like that together. Oh, colors. I just talked about that. So colors should mean something specific or nothing at all. So like if Ivan, right, like, again, this is like a mock data, but like over here, the data, like you've got a gradient of colors, right? But like different people. So gradient, probably not the best thing to use. Here you've got 4 different people, 4 different colors. So gradient should be if something is, big to small. And if you've got discrete groups, you should probably use very different colors. They should be consistent. So if red is UK, red should be UK. You shouldn't have both UK and China being red. And China's red here and blue here, right? So consistency with colors. Axes. Label your axes. This is like a funny joke. You can read through it. I can read every one. It's like, right, without labeling the axis, you have no idea what this chart is about. So make sure to label your axes. So start your y-axis at 0. This is like a very old example from Fox Business News, right? Look, it's going to jump from 35% to 39.6%. Whoa, look how big that jump is. It starts at 34. Yeah, so be careful when you're, like, that's a very common way to mislead with your chart. Here's another example, healthcare enrollments. From 4 million to 5.6 million, but like, where are they starting? Probably at 3.8 million. So again, something to be careful about. Usually, so this is an example of using starting at 0 as a way to show, hey, climate change, not such a big deal, right? Average global temperatures, basically the same for all eternity. So you can be misleading in both ways, and I think just making sure that you're thinking about the best and most accurate and responsible way to present your data. And like this, like stock market prices, like I think is often a place where you see not starting at 0, because if you want to show day-to-day or month-over-month change, you need to show a smaller portion of the chart. But I think like this is a legitimate chart that shows a particular moment in time and how that changed.